Zlurpcast!
Oh, hello. Welcome back. It's been a week. As the kids say, it's been a minute. We are going to do a shorter episode than normal. Why? Well, there's not as much to say, I would imagine. We just had a marathon of an episode. That the Age of Sigmar episode, all the way up there, is over 2 hours. Our guest host, Dave Witek, expected an hour. Like, you don't know what you signed up for, my friend. So
Clearly doesn't watch the show.
No, he doesn't want to show. Here's the thing, though. His podcast's fucking 4 hours. Like, he reads a battle tome for the first hour. Spoiler.
Like, you could read the battle tome faster.
Yeah, we read The Great Gatsby as a goof for an hour. This one, we're going to cover, it's not a two-part episode, but there will be another episode like this one coming out when, Biran? In a couple weeks? Or
A couple weeks. We'll call it a companion episode, perhaps.
Yeah, that's good. It's the yin to the yang. And
it's also, I have vacation coming up in June, so we got to get some stuff in the back.
This is the other episode you're going to hear or see or hear, whatever, or smell or taste, whatever your sense of choice is. It's mainly because Biran wants to live off the fat of the land for a week.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to glamp for a week, you know. Sounds like a dirty kind of dance. It's not. It is just Biran's camping.
Camping with 2 air conditioners and 3 televisions.
Yeah, that's all right. And how many computers or?
2 iPads Pro, 2 MacBooks, and 1 Dell laptop.
And how many
and
video?
2 Nintendo Switches.
Right. Okay. 2 Nintendo Switches. Right, there you go. That is roughing it, if you will. So that
I got to empty my own shit.
Virtually, or is that real?
Literally, you have to dump your shit into another hole. From one hole, you run a pipe to another hole and let it flow.
Have you ever gotten any on you?
No.
Okay.
I wear gloves.
That's good. Smart. The companion episode will be covering Imperial Assault, the Star Wars themed dungeon crawl from Fantasy Flight. This episode will cover Descent, and I'm going to make a note, Descent 2, Journeys, or Journey, I think it's Journeys into the Dark. Descent 1 was the first edition. I did not actually play that one, so I don't want to talk about that one. And that is the one that people don't play anyway. They all moved on. In fact, there was even a conversion kit, not like Biran thinks. Biran thinks it's like, put your dick in this thing and you won't get urges. Not like that. It was a conversion kit to take your Descent 1 characters and port them into Descent 2. Never got that because I never played the first one. But this one, we'll cover Descent 2. We will just call it Descent. If we were writing a contract, it'd be parentheses, like this is the term going forward, Descent. Before we talk about this game, let's do the introductions. We have Valdric, also known as Mike, in the Cactus Sack cosplay. We have Xtreme, also known as Brian M, to protect his anonymity, in the Cody Rhodes Do the Work shirt, I believe, right?
No.
I think it's just an American Nightmare shirt.
Okay. And that was the tattoo. Are you going to get a neck tattoo or not? We didn't get an answer on this one.
I will not. No.
Oh.
Okay. All right. We'll see. I hope this doesn't date the episode and it's like, hey, remember when he said he wouldn't and he did.
Looks like Stitches from Florida.
Yeah. We can do it for you. I would probably, I'm going to go Mike first, then Biran, then me, as far as what level of quality the tattoo would be.
It would not heal well, I guarantee that.
Yeah.
None of us are artists, but Mike is probably best.
Most experienced doing art.
Well, because of the biology tie-in and the actual human subject, I would think that would work best. Biran's probably best on the technical side.
I would have the highest end tattoo gun.
Yeah. And I would just do a smiley face and call it a day. or maybe a penis, and tell you it's a smiley face. So, and Biran is in the, what is that shirt?
Dolly Parton's Dixie Stampede.
Okay.
It's like medieval times, but a little more Jesus-y and country western.
Have you been?
Yes, I went in. What's it called? Branson, Missouri.
Do you get to cheer for your favorite?
You do. You do.
Oh, is that in Branson? It's not in Pigeon Forge?
It is in Pigeon Forge as well.
Okay, because we're
But
probably
Branson is the one it's easier to get tickets for.
Yeah, okay.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Are those is both places in Missouri?
No, Pigeon Forge is in Tennessee, near the
Yeah.
Smoky Mountains.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll do an episode on that, I'm sure. And I am here. I've got the new Zach LaVine jersey that Biran wants everyone to get basketball jerseys. So sure, that just happened.
Yep.
When we talk about Descent, that is for a lot of people their first foray into a dungeon crawl miniatures because it's made by Fantasy Flight, who are a large, I don't know, are they considered a huge game company?
Is it Asmodee bought them, right?
Yes.
So Asmodee actually.
Oh, Asmodee has become a huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantasy Flight was always a company that I was always drawn to their games in general. I appreciated that they bridged the gap between a complicated board game and a miniatures war game. They've been doing that for a long time, and they have found a style. And they found a style the way they do it, which we'll touch on in this game because it has themes into other games. It bleeds into their other games. But also, Fantasy Flight never was shy about getting their hands on a license either. From Star Wars to Game of Thrones to there's probably a couple others. I don't know if they've ever had Marvel, but
They've had, well, Cthulhu's not really a.
right. Is that like what do you call it? Open? Like,
Yeah.
not open source.
Public domain.
Public domain, yeah. But I guess if you make enough games with that theme.
They did do Marvel.
Oh, they did. Oh, that was that. Okay. If you make enough games with that theme, the Cthulhu theme, you own it essentially because you are known as the people who do those games. Like if you're looking for, what was it? Arkham
Horror.
Arkham Horror. There was like two other ones, I think.
There's Eldritch Horror.
Eldritch Horror and yeah.
The Mansions of Madness.
Yeah. So while there may not be a license per se, it's like, owning it by association.
By default. They own it by default. It's a common law.
Yeah, so they got that. So I'm calling that one of theirs as well. So anyway, my point is they found a way to do all this kind of stuff. Make fun games, have good miniatures that over time developed into better miniatures. They're not the best miniatures, but they're always good, getting better. And fun themes, fun mechanics, easy mechanics, good models, good style, and fun theme. They've hit many home runs as a company. Oh, X-Wing obviously is huge, that kind of thing. So I think they got Talisman from Games Workshop, right?
Do they do Talisman now? I think they do.
But then they kind of were like, we actually want like a real kind of, because wasn't Talisman a board game-ish dungeon crawler?
Yeah.
Oh, it's totally board game.
Yeah. They said, we want to do a real kind of dungeon crawl. We want to do our own Warhammer quest.
The dungeon was just a circle.
Yeah.
In that one, yeah.
Yeah.
So Descent right off the bat said, well, we're not actually crawling in a dungeon. Just so you know, we're outside. There's greens, there's streams, there's trees, so that's the thing right off the bat. And you take the tiles, you flip them over, and one is more dungeony and one is more outdoorsy. Kind of cool. They're all interlocking. You can design your own scenarios or play out of the book, totally fine. And in Descent, it is the closest to a typical dungeon crawl. In the base game, you get your human cleric healer guy. You get your dwarf berserker, Grisband the Thirsty, by the way. I don't know if he ever got it quenched or not. You're going to find out. After 10 or so adventures, you will find out if he was quenched. Jane Fairwood, that is a human wildlander. I always thought that was a wood elf, but maybe like an archer, right? Like a human. Leoric of the book, the mage, your wizard. Sindrial, your elf knight. So they kind of took, you ever notice they're taking a thing, but then doing a little twist?
A little flip on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
You would think
instead
the
of
elf would be the archer.
Right. Instead of an elf archer, they did human archer, but elf knight. And I think the human wizard is not old, I believe. I could be wrong, but I don't think he's old. You have a gnome thief, Tumble Burrowell, obviously British. You don't have that name without being Tumble. You have a Widow Tara, an orc necromancer. That's pretty cool. When do you ever see an orc necromancer? And Auram, a human. Oh, that's the conversion kit. The first one, by the way, I don't think I touched on. It was the Ashrian, which is an elf shaman. So 2 wizards, 2 warriors, 2 healers, essentially, and 1 thief and 1 whatever. So not a bad mix from the box set. Then there was countless expansions.
So many.
So many out there. I mean, there are the Lieutenant Pack. There is the Shadow of Nerakal. There's the Shards of Everdark.
I know they had different types of expansions. Like they had some that were just new characters, but they had some that added more tiles and stuff. And
I think they all. I don't know. I didn't buy them all when I had this game and I got into it. Imperial Assault, which we'll get to that one in a couple weeks. I bought everything, but this one I don't. Treaty of Champions. I don't even know what. Visions of Dawn.
I have a bunch of them because that was when we were going to the Goat, and the Goat was 30% off everything, and we'd feel bad if we didn't buy something at least every time we were there. So I just bought a bunch of that stuff. I've never done anything more than open it and look at it. But
I didn't know you had. So you have everything, Biran?
Not everything, but I have a lot. I probably have the core game and probably 5 expansions.
Here's one I did have: the Trollfins. I had that expansion because I thought that's a funny name. There is Rogana the Shade, an elf, and a dwarf. Just a dwarf, a Dunwar dwarf. I don't know what Dunwar is. Probably their country, whatever. But
it's more of the miniatures themselves are kind of board game plastic, but they're chonky enough where they don't get all bendy and floppy.
So the miniatures, if you're comparing it to, like, say, our Dungeon Saga episode, all the way up there, those out of the box need a lot of work because it's all bendy and the base is weird, and that kind of thing. These you can play Descent to right out of the box, no question. However, at first glance, if you're a little OCD, which a lot of gamers are, you're not going to like that the two-headed Etten is going to be a little wobbly, because he is, because all the bases are warped. So you're going to do the hot water thing on the bases at the very least. Maybe like a staff or a sword here and there, but what I recall are the bases being the problem, not the models.
Right, and it wouldn't be breakage. You might get some bending, but
no breakage at all. It would be like something's a little off, a little wobbly. And that's one thing I remember. Fixed it all, go hot water, and then I usually you could put it right in cold, but you're gonna want to make it flat. So I usually took hot water and just put it on a hard surface, so it got flat, then maybe cold. But that is the majority of the work you have to do. That's about it, very minimal. The quality's pretty good. It's below what you would get if the game was made now, but it came out, I believe, in 2010, 2011, I think, is when I think the first one came out in 05 or 06. I'm probably wrong. It's been a few years, so feel free to tell me in the comments. But I think the game Descent 2 came out in 2010 with expansions coming thereafter for about 5 years. I don't think the game is made anymore at all, right? Mike, you can check out it, maybe the internet. See, I don't think it's made at all anymore, which is fine. It's readily available, I believe, but like playing out of the box, if you get a few people to play with you out of the box, you can have 15, 20 awesome game nights without any expansions at all for, I think, $100 box set, right? About $100 was it? Biran, do you remember?
I think like 80, maybe.
Okay.
Just hot off the press. It looks like
80.
Yeah. It looks like there is a new version coming out in August.
Oh, cool.
Really?
Yeah, if we paid attention, we could have done an episode when that one came out. But.
Oh man, it actually looks pretty rad.
So let me ask you guys before I get into it. Have you ever anyone played Descent?
I have not.
Mike, no?
No.
That's amazing to me. Because this sounds like right up your alley.
It does.
And it is a very, very fun game. Now, we're going to do an Imperial Assault episode because it's very similar mechanics. Very, very, very similar with Star Wars and with guns. But there are some nuances. There are some differences. In this game, this is one of those games where it is best played with a group of people playing the heroes and one person playing the overlord. It does not work best when you don't have an overlord. I don't believe there's cards for AI or solo play in the box. I don't believe there is. If I'm wrong, feel free to tell me, because I never did that. It is made to be played with an overlord. They would rather, Biran, if you and I got together to play and nobody else showed up because they found out we were the people that were playing, Fantasy Flight says it will be a better experience for Biran to man 2 to 3 characters. I think 2, which we'll talk about in a second. 2 characters and me to be overlord, or vice versa, than to try to play with each other without an overlord. So I get that, and that's true. I would agree with that. There are some little things that happen in the game, like when you're moving big models, they do a thing where it shrinks down. You know, like an Etten would be 4 squares, but then you actually get to move 1 square because a lot of the hallways are 1. So there's some things in there that get a little weird. You could pick on the weak wizard if you really wanted to. So a lot of stuff could happen. That overlord, are they trying to win? That depends on who you ask. I ran a campaign. It lasted about 6 games before everybody just flaked, which happens. And I played with Josh Aldous Snow of Zlurpcast fame.
Not the winner of the Josh tournament, though.
Not the winner of the Josh tournament, and not Aldous Snow from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. This is Josh Aldous Snow. He is the one Anakin Skywalker tried to sell weed to, and in hindsight, he should have bought it. He didn't.
You might know him as X-Wing Fan 69420.
Yep. You might know him as Laser Wolfie. Kicked off a fumble thrice times. And by the way, Thrice is also his favorite band. I don't know why. Thrice is nobody's favorite band, but they are his favorite.
I thought it was Smash Mouth.
No, it should be, but it's Thrice. And so Josh and Dean, my brother, played. Heather played. I'm trying to think. I don't think, Mike, you played Warhammer Quest with us, but not
Yeah.
the same for some reason. It was a game. I ran it, and it was a game where we had a sheet in the book, the campaign book, that gave if Overlord wins, go here. If heroes win, go here. So there was that. So there was a linked games. When you're playing, you have a character. You've got your stats. You know the way they're based. I'm not going to get into how to play. Go watch the Rodney How to Play video. He's a little dorky, but he's good at those videos. Go watch that if you need to know how to play. But basically, you have a hero turn. You have your cards, because cards are everything. You know, Fantasy Flight, cards are your world. You lose a card, you're going to get fucked because you're not going to have that card. But that's how they do it. And you can spend a card, you can fatigue it and refresh it. So you start the turn, you refresh your cards, you equip items like I don't have the shield anymore. Now I got two knives, whatever. And then your heroes each perform 2 actions: move, attack, rest, search, looking for treasure, special, like a scenario-based skill, or stand up if you were knocked over, or an ability that requires you to burn an action to do, or open a door as well. And then that's it. And then you're done, and you move on. You go through each turn by doing all those for all your heroes, and then the monsters activate based on the Overlord running those. Obviously, objective is number 1. What I learned early on with Descent, and this is by no means a knock on the game because it is a blast to play, it is not the most tactical game for the heroes to have to worry about, which is kind of refreshing and kind of fun. You can fuck up and still achieve your missions, and if your Overlord is not a dick, you will achieve your missions and move along. To me, Descent felt like a video game where you might do some grinding, doing some hacking and slashing, building up your characters, trying to get cool stuff. You still might not get cool stuff. I think it was random as far as the, flip over 3 and you choose 1 kind of thing, or spells and this and that. You get all your cards. By the way, pro tip, we talked about this in another episode. Get like a big top loader for your character card, and then put all your items inside the same slot. So that way you show up the next day, here you go. You got a little fanny pack sized thing with all your stuff in it.
We recommend each player have their own fanny pack. And is that included in the box?
There is no fanny pack included. I recommend you go to Etsy and get one with something cool designed on it. My other fanny pack is a Warhammer.
Is a bag of holding.
Bag of holding. There you go. So you put all your stuff in there because you're after about 5 games, you're starting to get cool shit and cool skills. You're spending your points to level up and gain skills. It is RPG light. It is. If you think that D&D is boring because you don't fight enough, then you should play Descent. If you think that Warhammer or Age of Sigmar or any miniature game is too complicated because it's a lot of stuff, go take a step back and play Descent. It's a nice taint to each of those kind of game systems. Outside of that, it is actually pretty easy. Achieving the scenarios is all attainable. Like you very rarely feel, unless somebody dies or something that gets like, oh man, how are we going to do this without them? We can't open doors without the way, whatever. But for the most part, just if you don't do a lot of dumb stuff as in your hero turns, you move along and you should probably win almost every scenario you play. And the Overlord is your guide to move things along. And I truly believe that's the role of the Overlord anyway, to do that. When we do our Imperial Assault episode, this is one of those moments where the game differs, because now, you're not playing the Overlord, you are the Empire, and we'll get into that. I mean, you might want to win because you like them. You think they were misunderstood, so different. This is just its own fantasy world. So your heroes are moving along, building those adventures up. Like I said, watch the gameplay videos for all of that. It is fun to play with a good group. They have it set up where if you are using 2 heroes, use this many bad guys, because the Overlord cards for each bad guy will have like little heads at the top for like how many. If you have 3 heroes, you bump it up a little bit. And then if you have 4, that's the optimal amount. You should try to play with 4 if you can, and you play with the full amount. If I remember correctly, it's been a few years. It's been like at least, I think like 10 years ago. But when I was playing, I remember as the Overlord player, there being like, and I think the unpainted models had it. Some of them were red plastic, and some of them were like beige plastic, and they were the same model. It was supposed to denote this guy's the leader. So like, I've got 3 giant rats. One of them's on a red base. 2 of them are on a white base. He's the one that's harder. If I remember correctly, when you play with the full 4 characters, you get all the bells and whistles. When you bring it down to 3, you might not have the leader. And when you bring it down to 2, you have less bad guys, period. Like it's like almost like a 1-to-1. All right. 2 heroes walk through a door. Great. 2 giant rats go and attack them. 1-to-1. 4 is the best as you'd expect to play. Because then you also get all your things. You get the fighter, you get your tank, you get your healer, you get everything you want to have. I don't have a lot of experience with the other characters that came in expansions, but out of the box, they were all pretty fun to play. They all had a little twist like we mentioned earlier. So you, at no point do you ever feel like I'm playing Warhammer Quest. You really don't, because you're not in a dungeon, you don't have traditional characters, and cards are everything. There's no tables to roll on. It's not Games Workshop. If anything, Dungeon Saga by Mantic feels like Warhammer Quest. Descent doesn't. It feels like its own thing. And I always thought that was pretty cool about it. What do you guys want to know about Descent that I can answer from my experience with it 10 years ago?
So unlike Warhammer Quest, is it less competitive where people are competing to get the experience points and stuff? Is it more truly cooperative?
Yeah, you are building up. I forgot the terminology. It might just be experience. I don't think it's a glory or anything. I think it might just be experience, but you're building up to get skills because your class, I shouldn't say class, your character, not your class. Your character has, I don't know, 16 upgrade cards, let's say. One is a weapon that you usually get or start with, and the rest are skills. Now, something really cool might cost 4 XPs, so you might want to save up to get that. But if you just want to get stuff right off the bat, you're getting like 1s and 2s and building those up. There isn't really a competitive nature. I believe you're sharing the riches. If you open up a treasure, you're saying, who could use this, everybody?
Right.
Well, I don't wear armor, so I can't use it, that kind of thing. It is not, I don't find it competitive at all.
The way I played Warhammer Quest, it wasn't either. We just house ruled it. Like,
yeah,
you don't have to get the kill to get the experience.
The only thing that happens in this game on a competitive nature is competitive as in, no, don't go for those guys, walk past them and touch the fucking button on the door. What if that kind of thing? It's not a competitive me against you. It's a competitive, come on, we don't have time for this. And it's not even that bad. Like I said, when we get to Imperial Assault, that is a feature of that game that you need to be smart at all times. I have found with Descent, you eventually got to make the right moves.
But you can dick around a little bit.
You can totally dick around. You can go, I'm going to go around the corner and get the treasure. We don't need it. I know, but I want it. Like, because we might all get something cool from it.
The game that I played that's similar to this would be, they did those D&D and Dragonlance themed ones like Lord Soth's Castle or whatever that were like that. But those were more puzzle oriented. You could not waste a turn ever.
Yeah, those games are way harder.
Yeah, like it's a challenge to get through them. I like
harder. They're more thinking. There's more, and none of this is a pro or a con, by the way.
Right, it's what you want if you're into that, whatever.
It all depends on what you're looking for. I mean, we'll see when we get to our ratings, but you'd think I like Star Wars, that should automatically be better, but maybe it isn't, because Descent was so fun to play. Because if you want a game that is a beer and pretzels game, I think that terminology is dumb, but if you think, oh, I just want to have my friends over, have some drinks, roll some dice, and role play in a sense, you can do that. And it's a lot of that. It's a lot of just killing stuff and making the right moves. And there's a little flavor text at each adventure, like, Grimcrag has heard the call. And it's like,
would you say it in different voices?
I always do.
As the Overlord?
Yeah, I always do, because that's me. Why can I do voices? If I can do them, why not do them? And then you flip it over and the next adventure can begin. Pro tip, if you are the Overlord, if you can have everything set up before your friends come, awesome. If you can't, here's what I recommend you do. At the end of game 1, take a freezer bag and grab all the tiles that will be used in game 2 and put those in a bag. So while you still have to take time to set up, at least you're not fumbling through what pieces you need. You have all the pieces you need ready to go. In fact, take all their character little things, put it in an even bigger fanny pack known as a freezer bag, and there you go, and you're set.
Like the big hiking fanny pack that holds like 2 water bottles.
Yeah, a backpack, but you wear on your dick.
Yeah.
Something fun and practical. But setup, much like Space Hulk, is part of the game. So do what you can to lessen the setup time. Keep your cards together. Keep your, if you want to, what I used to do was I bought extra dice sets. I always did it for all the Fantasy Flight games because they never give you enough. I always made sure that whatever dice all the characters use, because it tells you what color that they use, very much like Star Wars Legion, same style, and their weapons, give them all their dice. Give them their own little baggie with all their dice, and then you keep all the rest as the Overlord. Like, there are things you're going to learn as the Overlord player that will enhance your efficiency and probably enhance your experience overall. You could get to the point of doing 2 adventures in a night. You just got to be like really on the ball. As far
have one in the hopper and a freezer bag.
Totally,
ready to go.
Totally could. Yeah. I never built my own, by the way, for this one. You can, and it's easy to do. Build your own scenarios. I don't think you need to. I think it would be most fun to, why burden yourself as the Overlord with all that, in my opinion. When you're already given flavor text and stuff you got to do. Oh, we got to find the 4 pieces of this of this ghost soul to put together to open the door. It's already giving you all this stuff. So just play through, have fun, know that you're there to still have your players enjoy yourself. I wouldn't bother designing my own scenarios. Dungeon Saga I did because I don't think there was enough there, but Descent there is. and obviously Imperial Assault there is too, but play through. And then if you all like what you did, then get the next scenario and play through those, the add-ons. Then you can decide if you want to make your own or not, Mike, you were going to say something earlier when I was asking about questions.
Yeah, you said the base set came with like 8 characters.
Yeah.
So if you were playing a campaign, would most people stick with the same 4 characters, or would you mix and match trying to level all of them up?
No, you want to stick with them and build them up, because by the time we get to the end, you need some cool shit. And if you do try to do the Cursed City style, like we talked about, I don't know if you would, if you could hack it, if you will, or hack and slash it. I just don't think you're going to get to your good skills, because unless your overlord said they're not playing, but everybody gets XPs.
Okay.
If you let everybody level up, even those who didn't play character-wise, then you'll be fine. I thought it was most fun when I did mine. So I gathered the people that were playing. I said, who do you guys want to play? And then once I said no to half of them, because I said, you have to have a good
You need a healer, you idiots.
Right. You have to have a good mix to do everything. So you can't all do this. I think Dean was the dwarf because he just wants to fight all the time, just like he played the Wookiee Imperial Assault. Heather was the wizard, like she likes to be. So I think there was still that. Josh played somebody that probably was a little mix of everything. I don't remember. It might have been the archer. I don't remember. But once you have your mix down, you should stick with it. And then when you finish that adventure, then you can decide if you want to switch it up for the next one. I don't know if expansion packs you buy start at level whatever, or if they start here. I don't know that. They probably start at the bottom, because they're probably intended for you to try new characters because they come in the box. But it all depends on how much extra your overlord wants to do. If that overlord player wants to say, do you the 4 of you like all your characters? Do you want to keep going through? All right, give me a minute, because I'm going to have to bump all this other shit up a notch. Take it to Flavor Town, if you will, because out of the box, I'd imagine the other ones won't be there. But again, I don't know. Somebody else can answer that in the comments, because I only played the base campaign.
The new version, Descent Legends of the Dark, is $175.
Ooh, okay. Can you give us a rundown, Biran, of what you get in there?
It doesn't go to much detail.
Oh, so it's not even at that stage yet.
No, it shows you like pictures of it. It looks like a lot of terrain and a lot of 3D terrain.
Yeah,
made from cardstock though.
You know what? Let's talk about that. That's a great point. So in Descent, the tiles obviously are everything. You need to be mindful of all the outlines on the tiles and what means what. So blue outline means water. It's fine because it's water on the tile anyway. And you move, I think it's like half speed through water. Red is impassable. Now for that, it's going to be like rocks or pillars or whatever. I would like to put something there if you can, because it's more fun that way, especially if it's impassable. If that square is truly impassable, you don't have to worry about putting a thing there to get in the way, because it's impassable anyway. So I'd recommend you do that if you can. I think I put I forgot what I had. Maybe I think I just had I don't know if they were like barrels or something. I forgot this was before Mantic's dungeon crates came out. That stuff's great for it though, by the way. If you buy any of those dungeon crate packs, little coffins or whatever, and the wood, like the boxes and chairs, put those in all the squares that are red, because you can't go in them anyway. You got to go around them anyway. And I believe they block line of sight from your archer anyway. So why not throw some 3D terrain in there? Pretty cool. The new one comes with that.
Yeah, it looks like it's cardstock terrain for trees and stuff like that. But the tiles are not puzzle piece. They look like they have little slots for connectors, but they're not puzzle piece.
Bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how that works for them. I trust they could probably pull it off, but it all depends on what the connector is. If it's like, we've seen some bad ones. The Dungeon Saga ones are bad. The Hot Wheels tracks in the 80s had better connectors than those things. The little
plastic tongue depressor
the little
things.
purple tongues were better. So it all depends on that.
Yeah.
The interlocking pieces are phenomenal. The only reason to get away from that is to give you further combinations, right? I mean, is that the only? I mean, what's the negative of having interlocking pieces besides being limited to? Sorry, you don't have that piece to go there.
Or you could only put these two pieces together like this. You can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. The only if the opening of the room is in the middle and you want it to be on the side, you can't do that.
The only die cutting is cheaper if you're just doing squares versus the puzzle.
Those puzzle pieces are awesome.
Yeah.
It is. I will tell you this. I think they're better than the Space Hulk ones. I know Xtreme's going to scoff a bit, but they.
Well, they're that linenized paper that I like a lot.
Because you can take them, do what I said, and throw them in the big Ziploc bag. Be ready for the next one. They get banged around and jostled in the box a little bit. They're fine. So they're not going to start peeling up. They're actually done really well. So I don't see no flaw with any of those.
3rd edition also looks like it comes with there's an app that goes with it as well.
Yep. So Todd will hate it.
Yeah.
I don't know if Descent eventually had an app. Imperial Assault did. We'll talk about that when we do our episode on that. I don't think, and I could be wrong. I know I can look, but why should I? I'm on camera now. I can't spend time looking. I don't believe Descent had an app, but if it did, it would make sense probably for the AI side if you want to play solo.
Yeah.
Or just keep track of all your upgrades and stuff.
Yeah, it looks like it keeps track of all your upgrades and whatnot. So
I want cards. You
I
take your tech and throw it out the window at my table. And also, depends on what snacks you have too. Depends on if it's sleeved or not. I played the game sleeved because I was all about sleeving back then, 10 years ago. And I'll tell you, I'm happy I did because the elf or the ranger player had a tendency to enjoy the salsa verde Doritos, and those leave remnants. And dare I say, I was like, hey man, now you're fucking up my sleeves. First, I put the sleeves so you don't fuck up the cards, but now you greased up the sleeves.
You need sleeves for your sleeves.
Right. I didn't even know. I mean, it's like Fauci saying wear 2 masks. Should I put a sleeve on the sleeve that comes off when you leave?
Then is 3 masks? He's like, yeah, 3 masks would be better. And then before you know it, you got an orca stack of 19 masks on your face.
Yeah. Do I wear 3 condoms? Can if you can handle it.
It makes my penis feel thicker.
Yeah. You're not going to feel anything. So it might just droop and then you're done.
Might be like trying to put toothpaste back in the tube.
Can't do that at all. Yeah. So I think that sleeving is probably not needed for this game because there's so many cards for items. And, there is the cool element of you have your character card and you're like equipping. Maybe they stole it from Death Path. I don't know. And there's equipping, like I get 1 shield, I get 2 hands, or 1 2-hand, I get a helmet. So play with some clean people, pretzels and drinks, call it a day. And I think you're good without sleeving this game because there is a lot of cards.
Like maybe not serve barbecue ribs at the table.
After or before is fine, as long as everyone hits the sink. I hate to have to tell, this is a side note of me. I hate that I have to tell other adults when they should and shouldn't wash their hands. But sometimes I do.
You should wash after pooping, but maybe not after pooping.
I prefer after peeing.
What if the only thing you touch is your own dick?
Well, George Carlin once said, I'm not going to wash my hands after peeing. My dick is cleaner than that sink handle. My dick's way cleaner than that. So why should I? Yeah, fair point.
As someone who shits in public all the time, I make that judgment call occasionally. It's like, no, Union Station, that guy was touching that sink. My dick is cleaner than his hands. So, yep.
Yeah, you have almost it's like a lot of greater than, less than arguments.
It's always a risk assessment.
Yeah. How many Boolean arguments run through your head, Mike, when you're in the bathroom? Boolean. Word of the day. Yeah. Boolean. Anyway, so my point is, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of cards. So just, be mindful of that at the table, knowing if you have stacks, I'm going to draw this randomly, or I'm going to flip through. I don't think sleeving's the best for it, but you can. And the beauty of Fantasy Flight, what they always do, look on the back of the box. Give me 3 greens and 4 yellows, shopkeeper. You ask for the sleeves. You get the sleeves, you have the sleeves, you never have too much, you never have too little. It's fucking genius what they do because they also sell their own sleeves. And those are the ones I buy. Like, I don't, if I like, I buy Fantasy Flight sleeves because I like them. I like the texture.
Oh, they work, yeah.
And I remember what I need. I'm like, oh, that's right. That game uses purples because they're weird. Like, I remember what I need based on the color combinations. Biran, are you consider buying Descent 3rd Edition?
This new one, maybe. It looks interesting.
So let me ask you, Biran. It's all on topic for this one. You said no to Curse City, the new Warhammer Quest, on some principle. I don't know what it was. I didn't know you had principles.
The main one was Mike was going to get it, and you only need one copy for a group.
Yes.
Okay. And you are a Kingdom Death aficionado.
Yep.
Do you have Gloomhaven as well, or no?
No, Ryan does. I was interested, but whenever Todd has a massive discount on stuff, it's not applying to Gloomhaven, or he doesn't have it in stock then. The idea of Gloomhaven is cool because it has that legacy mechanic, like Risk Legacy, where you unveil new stuff.
I unfortunately never played Gloomhaven. I really want to.
I've never played it, but
I've heard it's a lot of it's preference, because Gloomhaven has things that are specific to that game. Descent and the like, and Fantasy Flight games in general have their style. You know, when I say their style, I mean cards as upgrades, skills as upgrades, colored dice with symbols. The better dice you get, the more your character progresses. You spend surges, the little lightning bolt, to do extra things. Oh, my guy says I can change surges to crits. Oh, my guy says I can change surges to defensive blocks. That's the Fantasy Flight style. They use it in multiple games. I think it's great, but that's very specific to that. If you don't like that, you don't like it. Warhammer Quest has their thing, the new one, different than the old ones. Mantic has their thing. Super Dungeon Explorer and Arcadia Quest and all these other like dungeon crawl-esque games all have their own thing. So I don't know if there's probably people that say one is better than the other, but a lot of it is personal preference with the style of the game to me. Yeah.
Looking at I'm watching the video of it. I think I'd go with Gloomhaven before this.
Okay. I'd like to try it if anyone ever gets it, able to play it sometime. It's a fun, Descent is a fun game. Like, you know what's great for it? If you, and we always make this thing about guy at work or girl at work. You want to play it, or what?
This is a game for normies. Normies could play it.
It is, because not everybody, you know what? Not everyone that you work with or go to school with is ready to see your Age of Sigmar collection.
Right.
It's a scary fucking sight. That one model was $200. Yeah. And I didn't even build like the good version of them. I'm stupid. Like they're not ready for those conversations. What they are ready for is saying, that little dude looks cool. Oh, he's a thief. I want to be that guy. And then you play him. Here are your dice. You roll that. These are good. These are bad. Here's your skills. It is the crossover game for people that aren't ready to step into the other realms of fantasy, if you will. It's a lot of fun. It's just gaming veterans might tire of it, though. That's the only thing. But that's okay. Still fun. You know what? A lot of these people like to drink while they play. Get fucking drunk while you play. Then you'll be fine. Then you're not going to be clamoring for more rules. You're just going to be like, I don't even know. Can I slay the dragon? Dragon's not even on this board. Fight the giant rat and be happy. So it's fun. If you give it a try, watch the videos. Like I said, watch it played. Rodney is a good video of it. He's playing it with his kid. Like, it's not that complicated. So it is hack and slash more than other dungeon crawls. It is probably, based on my experience, probably the easiest dungeon crawl game I've ever played. I'll say that. It's probably the easiest to learn and figure out. Dungeon Saga is close, because that's easy. That's very easy too. But because of the colored dice and the symbols, like, you don't even have to do math. So Dungeon Saga, you at least have to know what numbers are. You just look for symbols. Anything else you want to cover on Descent? Would you, if I showed up at Grognard and you guys were all there, nothing to do, dick in hand, waiting for guidance, and I show up with the game and I say, that's the box opening because it's always like the Fantasy Flight games are always like vacuum fucking sealed.
Yeah.
Descent. Who's in? Who's raising their hand with that game? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, cool. I love that. And it wouldn't disappoint at all. It would not disappoint. There's probably a cap at some point, but I never saw it. I only played the base game though. It was enough. Like I said, I thought it was pretty ballsy too, like going with everything a little different. Like I said, the wizard was not the old guy, it was the young guy. And you have an orc necromancer in the box. What game comes with the orc necromancer? None of them. So pretty cool stuff. Like I said, models are, if you're looking at cons, if you're used to Games Workshop, the models might leave a little to be desired. Some mold lines and this and that, but if this is your first foray into miniature games, you think they look badass as hell. So some bendy staffs here and there. You'll have to work on that if you care about that. Some people don't. Anything else? Any questions on Descent 2 Journeys into the Dark?
I think we're ready for our reviews.
Okay. Xtreme, any questions on your end? Are you good?
Sure.
Okay. Going to these Zlurpy ratings, I will go first. I give it a solid 4 Slurpees. It's a great game. Gladly played anytime. Could it go higher? It could, but I really like the basic mechanics of it. The Overlord's job is to make sure your guys have a good time. As long as you do that, you will have a good time. Let's go to Valdric next because just gaming experience in general and life experience, frankly, he has it.
I'll give it a 4 as well. Again, I love a dungeon crawl. So, and there's been enough people I know that have played it and enjoyed it. So I can't see me not enjoying it. And I can see me also being the Overlord if needed. So that seems fun.
Yeah. I will tell you this much too. If you're watching this and you like playing games with games masters, not just role-playing games, but games with a GM or DM of some sort, this is the easiest one to try it out at, to see if you like that role. It's because you don't have to create anything. It's all in the book. Just read along. Don't even do the voice. You heard a whisper. You don't even have to fucking whisper. You can just say it. You just say it. Doesn't matter. Biran, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'm going to go to 3.5 because the simplicity of it gets it high up there. But I don't think I'd rate a dungeon crawler ever super, super high. So I want to leave room for another dungeon crawler to be more than this.
Totally acceptable reasoning. In fact, I would say when we get to episode 100, we'll do another assessment of game types. But if we were ranking those, Biran, dungeon crawl is probably lower on your list than others, correct?
I would put it skirmish being number 1. Yeah, I would put it middle of the pack though, more than card or RPGs. So
I always like it, but it's a caveat of who do you play with,
right?
But isn't that everything?
Well, because like a one-off of a dungeon crawler is not as satisfying as playing a string of them.
But so here's the thing, though: if you've got a group and one person, I don't want to say you don't like, but one person's making it a little sour for the whole group, that sucks way more than playing one game of 40K against the shitbag.
Right.
Because you got to show up the next week. So it ruins everything. It is a turd in the punch bowl that would have been a great drink otherwise. Xtreme?
I don't want my score to look like it's negative because I don't see it that way. If anyone came up to me and said, "Hey, I have all the Descent stuff. I'm going to run the campaign. Do you want to play in it?" Yeah, sure. I want to sit down. I want to go through that. But I don't ever see buying the game. I still prefer dungeon crawlers that don't have someone playing the Overlord, where the dungeon kind of does it something. I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay. 3's not negative. I made it through high school with 3s. Total score? Why is it taking so long?
3.75.
Thank you.
I don't know. I just said that.
I forgot how to use a calculator.
8 plus 3 plus
3.625.
And that is the score.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it how many Zlurpees are on the screen now? Is it 3.5 or 3 3/4?
I'd probably do 3 3/4.
Okay. But the number in the Google Sheets is 3.65.
Yep, we're going strict math from now on that. From
Okay,
that.
wow. Only took 50 episodes to go with this thing called math.
Yep.
We'll see if it takes off. You know, it's a fad, depending on who you ask. Well, that was fun. So you should follow Zlurpcast. If you enjoyed this one, say, hey, I want to hear these guys talk about games that they actually played. Well, go to the other episodes. You know, off to the right of this one, there's a bunch of other ones. There's a playlist that says Zlurpcast TV. That's got 50-ish other ones right on there. Follow Zlurpcast on social media. Join the Zlurp Nation, link below. Bonus content included. Talking about how much we're bragging. We're not even humble brag. We're just bragging about what we spent in other games. You should check that out. You should really get involved in that. Zlurpcast discussion, Facebook group, and buy some things, because a shirt with Zlurpcast characters like these guys, you can buy a shirt and wear that so you can cover up your ditties in style at zlurpcast.net, and we make like 89 cents on each one. It's phenomenal. It's like less than the cup of coffee, or that we can sponsor a child for Sally Struthers thing for.
We only have to spell about 4,000 to cover JP's Age of Sigmar army.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fine. Or Biran's last action figure.
Yeah.
Just because it has like a touchable butt. You pay extra for that. It's an extra 50 for a foam butt. You know, the guys in the design room are making fun of you right now. Like, hey, what if we put a foam butt on this? Do you think this idiot will buy one?
You think he's going to touch it with his finger, then smell his finger?
Yeah. All right. We'll talk to you next time. We'll probably cover Judgment next week.
Maybe.
Maybe Judgment
Hot off the presses? Hot off the Kickstarter presses?
With an E or without an E, we will find out. Talk to you next time. Bye. Click on that sub button.
Zlurpcast! Brought to you by Zomboy. Eat flesh.